What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional 40K. Got Aiden back with me today, and tonight we have a special guest, Mark Hertel.
How's it going?
Hey, Mark.
So we had planned to have Mark come on just to talk about Space Marines, his thoughts on them, on wolves and stuff, but we lucked out and also got the big drop of everything today, so we'll also be able to talk about some of that.
Balanced
indeed.
data slate. Yeah, we're
Yep.
really curious to hear what you have to say about how things are going to change and what your list change. And yeah, really excited to jump into it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Yep. So I'm sure a lot of people know you, but why don't you tell us how long you've been playing 40K, Mark?
I've been playing 40K since some mid seventh edition.
Seventh
When
edition.
when Scutari came out, that was my first army.
Oh, cool. And how long do you run Skitari, and when did you jump on the Marine bandwagon?
Well, I was running. I ran AdMech for most of the. I've always dabbled in like Marines and like other stuff like that, but I was known as mainly an AdMech player back in the day. It
Yeah.
used to be my jam, but like I switched between Imperium stuff and like AdMech stuff, whatever's works best at the time.
Yeah, I remember playing you back in 8th edition against AdMech, and man, you could really turn the damage up on that army. I had like this unkillable Lord of Change with a 3-up invuln, and you're like, I don't care. I'm just gonna yeah.
Yeah, between the heavy bolter or between the cognitive heavy stubbers and then the electro priest is just like it'll die.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing you around when I was up in Virginia, but I don't think we ever actually got a chance to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing Marines for most of the 10th edition, just Death Watch, regular Marines, switching between those two.
Cool.
Yeah, Mark, I've noticed with your list, you always kind of find a way to turn the damage up to 11. Like you're always going for damage heavy builds, which is a very valid way to play Warhammer. Obviously, it took you all the way to win LVO. So, talk about what I'm curious about your win at LVO. You were running Death Watch, very powerful army, kind of out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, you're not running them anymore. What happened?
Well, my Death Watch build was good for LVO, but like I've been playing Land Raiders for a while, and I like my Ultramarine build with like Gilliman, Calgar, and a couple Land Raiders and some other stuff supporting them, and that's been doing me a lot of fun. That's why I took the Worlds, but a very different build of it. But it's a fun list. It's very mobile, very fast, hard hitting, and it also survives pretty hard too. So it hits hard, it survives, and it's really fun.
Cool.
Best kind of list.
Yeah, and you say you're running Land Raiders. You're running Redeemers,
Two
Crusaders,
Redeemers.
two Redeemers. Yep, that's the way to go. That Flamer is so good on Overwatch right
It is
now.
so good right now.
Yeah, well, Mark, you just won a GT. You and I were both at. So congrats. Why don't you give us a rundown of the list that you ran and won with?
Absolutely. So the list I ran was Gilman as my warlord, Calgar, and then I had a librarian. Those were my characters. I had a assault intercessor squad and a regular intercessor squad as my battle line. I had two Land Raider Redeemers, company heroes running around with Calgar. I had a 10-man Stern Guard vets to go to the Land Raider with the librarian. I had one unit of jump pack intercessors, and I also had the secret tech. I had a desolation squad and an impulsor.
Oh my God. I love and hate Desolation Marines. They're so ridiculous and so silly, but also very good in some builds.
Yeah, they were one of the strongest units in the game a little while back, but then they got super nerfed. So they're back again.
Kind of. They work well in my Gladius build with the extra CP because I can keep them safe in the Impulsor, give the Impulsor Devastator Doctrine for extra AP and ignores cover, and then I can just shoot out of the Impulsor until it's safe to get out, and then I can just like buff the Desolation Marines while they're out. But it allows me to be AP1 on the Castell launchers and ignores cover, and AP2 ignores cover on the Vanguard launcher from the Sergeant.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
nice.
Wow. And how have you been finding the new changes to Oath and Gilliman? I know, gosh, what
Unnecessary,
a
but
glow up.
unnecessary, but glad to have them.
Wow, what a glow up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes my list synergize well and work very well because I don't have a super ton of like dedicated anti tank, but with Pulse of the Wound and like Strength 6 AP2 Flamers, like things die. Things just die.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a great profile into Eldar.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Those Marines, they really helped me cement that into Eldar.
So, are there any armies or lists that you think could give your list problems that you've just been able to dodge? Or you think you're pretty solid into everything right now?
I'm pretty solid into most things right now, especially with the changes. So basically, Vindicators going up, they were something that could actually do damage to me, but now they've gone up, I'll probably see less of them. I think like a lot of other Marine builds got hit by this, and that was kind of the only thing that could really reliably kill me. So basically, you have like your tactical brigade in the meta beforehand that could like kill a Land Raider. I actually played against tactical brigade at the GT this last weekend, but like he killed the he shot one squad of the Land Raider, did absolutely nothing. I don't even think he got it. He got like maybe one wound that made one save. But he shot at the other Land Raider. He just smoked it, just like right as dead.
Oh wow, that
But
sounds like
he
worse.
didn't kill the important one. That was what he was trying to kill. So
Ah,
it's just like it's so sweet with tactical brigade.
wow. Yeah. And Tactical Brigade got a bit of a nerf in this balanced data slate. Speaking of, we do have a new balanced data slate that dropped today. I don't know if we want to cover anything else before we dive right into it.
It's up to you. Yeah, we can jump right into that unless you got something else you want to go over first, Mark.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the balanced data slate. Not all right. So sisters. So I don't know sisters too much. So each time a unit is destroyed,
It used to be you only got the CP. You got one CP or one of those miracle dice. If a sister died at the end of the phase.
Yeah.
Not
So
right
so now
now.
you
that's
can
back
get. So
to
now you can get multiple.
mhm.
Yes.
So all
Back
right. So
to
that,
the way it used to be.
all right. So that's a buff for sisters. Rest of this looks the same. Eldari. Oh, looks like Asterman went to anti-infantry 5-up.
Yep.
That's good. A little bit of nerf there because yeah, he could kill some things just a little too easily.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Bridgehead got a huge nerf.
Bridgehead got hit a lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
Good.
I'd never actually got to play into it because the
It was
models
not
for
fun.
it, yeah, the models for it were hard to get a hold of, so only a few people were running it. But
Yeah, that was a little bit overtuned. I'm glad it got tweaked, but it seems to be obsolete now. Instead of +1 to wound, it's +1 to hit, which is
yeah,
already it's just like an order. And yeah, they also
and they fixed the mortal wounds on the engineers.
yeah, those engineers were ridiculous for their points cost. How many mortal wounds they could throw out?
Yep,
Yeah.
just anything.
All right. Oh, and they hits the Legion of Excess pretty good.
Oh, it's like murdered.
It's
Yeah,
gone. It's completely
It's
gone.
dead.
that's a
Yeah,
shame. I actually thought that was pretty cool detachment.
I
Well, you see, this is what happens. What really happens is how to tell when something gets super nerfed is because somebody played against that at GW and they're just like, I don't like this. I never want
Yeah,
to play against this again.
yeah,
yeah. Josh Roberts lost to Legion of Excess, and he's like, nah.
Never again.
You know? Yeah, they got a lot of data sheet changes that were all for the worse.
Death Watch.
And points increases too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
so Death Watch is untouched. Dark Angels look untouched, at least in their main thing. Grey Knights, they Purgation squads got hit, but I think people just kind of switch over to Inceptors. That's what Big Dave was doing already. He wasn't even running the
Yeah.
Purgation. So,
Minor nerf.
yeah, minor nerf, but I don't think that really affects them too much. Imperial Knights, Necrons. Oh, Votan. So they changed the army rule. So now they get 2 judgment tokens already. And so in Oathband, they actually get 4 judgment tokens in a Strike Force game.
Wow.
Well,
So
that's what they got before. That's what they got currently. It's basically so they can actually get 2 judgment tokens in the new Grotman's detachment. So it's not completely useless.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I haven't played Votan in 10th. It's just not a common army around here.
It's okay. It's very vanilla. It
Yeah.
Right.
plays 40k, but it doesn't do. It's not the great shooting armor it used to be. It's solid at everything.
Yeah.
Tank busters, you can only use 1 squig bob at a time now.
That's good. Yep.
They also changed the visible, I believe, too.
Oh yeah, invisible. Yep.
That's good. They changed that on the engineers as well. I like that they're not keeping out of line of sight mortal wounds. I think that's a little ridiculous. So I'm
Yes.
happy with these changes.
Yep. And now we're into the Marine. So they changed out at the moment to be just Codex Space Marine detachments, which is what it was originally meant to be. People doing bloodless angels and all that weird stuff was.
What? People finding the loophole in GW's
Yep.
rules?
Yeah.
Say it isn't so.
Hey, that's one thing I like about 10th edition is you only get that loophole for a month or two because it's not like it was back when I started playing the second. You'd go editions with this, like Dark Eldar had their second edition codex through like 5th edition. Like, so if something was broken, it just stayed broken and they didn't care.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how GW is responding. And people were talking about wolfless wolves, but no, I'm so glad they're not even a thing anymore.
No, because in Champions of Rust, everything triggered off characters, and
your characters are the best things.
Our characters were the best things. Yeah, so it's like, oh, you're going to trigger this with what, just generic Marine, other than Black Death Captain? None of them are worth bringing. Lieutenant and Phobos armor. That's a big hit to Champions of Rust list specifically.
Yes.
I don't think it affects normal Marines as much, or even Stormlance as much, but that was the easiest unit to trigger Saga of Majesty early in the game.
Yeah. You could argue like Liberators, they were kind of decent. They would get a bunch of extra attacks and strength. But this change, meaning that with Lieutenant and Phobos deep striking with Reavers, they could shoot and scoot D6 and then charge. And they would battle shock -1 OC. They'd almost guarantee flip an objective. So you could easily get Saga of Majesty and Champions of Rust. Yeah.
Yep. Now you physically can't get in range to get the Reaver ability up on anybody.
Yeah.
You start outside of 9, you get the flat 6, you're just outside of 6, or you're just outside of 3, so you still don't trigger the ability and you still can't charge. The trick before is, you get a couple inches closer, hit like a 5 or 6 inch charge, and if you didn't kill a unit, you turn their OC off, and now you trigger Saga Majesty. Even if you die, now you're +1 OC across the whole army.
This is kind of the biggest change to Space Wolves. They don't really have any other changes apart from this one, which is somewhat significant nerf if you were taking this combo.
Yeah, other than some points. Like, I lost some points in my list, but that didn't hurt me nearly as much as this. So
right.
So that makes, I got some rethinking to do before my GT this weekend now because of that. Stormlance, Wind Swift still affects infantry and mounted. Doesn't work on vehicles. I don't think you are the Stormlance guy. I doubt you use it on vehicles much.
Yeah, there's always the reactive on vehicles. Could be really good against Melta because the Melta has to get within 9. And then you can reactive out of Melta range. I think I've only used that like once or twice out of the 100+ games I played with Stormlance. So this is not like a significant change.
No, because I found
it does affect Ultramarines Stormlance because Gilliman is a monster.
Oh, Gilliman cannot reactive move.
Nice.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because in your Stormlance, using it on the Thunderwolves to keep them in Blood Surge range is really the biggest
bread
thing
and butter.
needed.
Yeah, bread and butter of that detachment.
That's true. Gilliman being a monster, so he can't get out of range is.
Yeah.
All right. So we did the Lieutenant. Ventress can't do his thing on Terminators or stuff like that anymore. Just Phobos, Gravis, and Tacticus.
Yeah, this completely neuters. What is it? Vanguard,
yeah.
Completely removes that archetype from the game, I think. No longer can you redeploy Centurion Devastators and shoot every turn. So, wow.
I mean, that's if you're spamming Centurion Devastators. I don't know how much. I mean, I guess that list kind of really depends on those, but like, there's other things you can use too.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can redeploy other stuff, deep strike other stuff.
But with the change of that, you're not running the Centurions anymore, at least on that attachment.
Yeah, well, I find that's the best way to get nerfs is find something that's slightly better than it should be and just spam it so that GW notices.
Oh, God.
Instead of just taking one unit and then playing around and like, oh, this one unit's a little better than it should be. But but then like, oh, I'm going to take as many as I can and just break the rule. And then that's when GW is like, oh, now we're going to super hit it.
Yeah. What's up, Buttons? Part of those saying, how big do we feel Blade Guard veteran changes for us? If you don't know, Blade Guard Veteran went down 10 points for 3. I think
That's
they're
actually
actually
pretty good.
reasonably costed. They still don't do an extreme amount of damage unless you have Champions of Rust and both buffs up and a strat.
Yeah.
It's just extra points when you're buying a Ragnar Blade Guard Veteran package. I still don't think they are our best melee unit.
I used when I'm not doing it now because I'm running the Canis Rex build. It's one of the points for it. But I used to like running Ragnar with one squad.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great package now, and it's cheaper.
Yep. Yeah. So speaking of which, let's hop over here and look at some of the points. Sisters went down a little bit, which
Yep.
I think they needed. They were kind of struggling. Custodes, a mixed bag of up and down, plus a new detachment. So be interested to see where they end up shaking out after all this.
Yeah. I think nerfed was what people were playing, the Wardens, and then buffs in a lot of other places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
detachment looks pretty strong.
think they nerfed the Blade Champions, some of the Dreadnoughts, and the Wardens, which
Yep.
all deserve it.
Yeah, because unless you played them at Purge the Foe, I don't think they were super strong. Admech, Call,
Nothing.
and Adominus both went down. Nothing else changed.
Really nothing.
Let's see. Eldar, Wave Serpent, Dark Reapers, Fire Dragons, Scorpions, Dire Avengers all went up.
Yeah, this actually adds up to not a lot of changes. Obviously, Fire Dragons, I think, are the most impactful change, but people are taking 5 Dark Reapers anyway.
Yeah.
So it's really just like 1 Wave Serpent and 3 Fire Dragons would be the most that a list, like you're talking about like 40 points, 50 points to a whole list.
But so basically they lose 1 unit or have to downgrade 1 unit. So
right.
Hey,
not
every
a
little bit
lot,
helps.
but they weren't winning a lot anyway, so I don't think they needed a major as much as everybody was complaining about them.
Right. Mark was saying that he took the Desolation Marines specifically to shoot Eldar.
Yep.
So I think
they're good into some stuff, but they have some super hard counters. Wow, I can't speak tonight. Like they've really been struggling in the Knights from what some of the Eldar players I was talking to were telling me.
Yeah,
right, so guard we have heavy weapon teams, the Scions, Ordnance Battery, and Command Squad. So probably a lot of stuff that was getting spammed in Bridgehead Strike. So that's just part of the big nerf on that.
Plus some indirect. I mean, 50 points for 3 mortars was a little ridiculous. I'm glad it's up to 65 now.
Yeah, well, they've really been trying to limit indirect.
Yeah.
And 1 enhancement and Bridgehead went up. All right. Templars, Untouched.
No change.
That seems fine. Blood Angels, Assault Group lost 10 points went up 10 points on a enhancement.
The sustain is 3, I believe.
And just regular Death Company Marines went up a little bit.
Weird. Huh.
Army went down a little bit. Well, because they're not the one with jump packs. I don't think you saw them.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad
they're just walking.
Packs.
Yeah, jump packs stay the same. So it's like trying to get people to take a little bit more regular infantry, which they don't see too much in. And then I guess the captain is the one that, with jump pack, he went down 10 points. Demons went up a little bit.
Yeah, interesting.
Nurglings went down. Screamers went down. Shalaxi went down 45 points.
But she got nerfed, I think. She has like a new data sheet.
Yeah, she got nerfed, and their detachment got nerfed. So they make her still worth bringing.
Patented triple nerf of detachment got worse. They got points increases, and the data sheets changed for the worse. So this was Demons just got neutered. They got a new detachment.
Well, they got the detachment. That was pretty good. Belcourt got glow up. But Celestial Demons, they backed up somebody really bad in GW.
They removed the chariots. They're no longer chariots.
Really?
It's crazy. What's up, Hogfather?
Yeah. So then, and the gift went up for Incursion. Chaos Knights, a couple of the bigger knights went down.
Yep, big boys went down.
Yeah, which everybody's spamming the little knight, so I don't think that really affects too much.
Yeah.
If they were gaining 10 to 30 points in a knight list, really doesn't give you anything.
Not much. But it's good to see that they're, listening.
Castrate's Forge Fiends went down 10. Predators went up. Lord Discordant went down. Man, I haven't seen a Lord Discordant in years.
Yeah, those guys are cool models, but
They are cool. They used to be super strong, but yeah, I
oh
haven't
yeah,
seen anybody
They've
bring
got a
them
really
in
bad
forever.
data sheet right now. Just
Yeah.
not a good data sheet.
Dark Angels. Oh, they should have just removed them from the game. There's already
Oh,
enough. There's already enough Chaos armies.
exactly.
wow. Throwing hands.
I mean, we're Space Wolves. We hate Dark Angels.
Yeah,
Dark
that's right.
Angels and Thousand Suns. Predator. So yeah, so there's up in all the Predators across the board here. Blight Haulers went down though. That's interesting.
Yeah. They were
Those
I
things are
already.
played.
pretty tough.
I know. I played against Death Guard this weekend. I played Mark. No, not Mike Museni from Art of War top table at our RTT, and he was running Death Guard, and those things were super hard to kill.
Yeah.
They're
So
annoying.
I don't like seeing them going down.
Nope.
Yeah.
Death Watch, 10 more for 5-man Terminator, 10 less for a 10-man.
That makes sense.
Yeah, not much of anything there. Drakari Witches went down. Warriors went down.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
Emperor's Children hasn't even out yet, so they got a bunch of ups, a bunch of downs.
Yeah.
Some neutrals. So I haven't
We-
played into it, so I have no idea what to even think about this yet.
Yeah, this matches the MFM that they released for the Codex. So there's nothing really changing if you already had the MFM.
This
Nice.
is just based. Oh well, some of this stuff wasn't even around before, so.
Yeah.
And then they just have the Legion of Excess models listed in here, but they're all cheaper for Emperor's Children, so that's probably where you'll see them more now.
Yeah, you can only take them in one detachment, but they're cheap.
But I mean, as opposed to the pure Slaanesh detachment, which you probably won't see much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Gene Stealer Cults hybrids went up 15 for a 20-man.
Okay.
Grey Knights and Scepters went down, which I thought was interesting because Dave loves those. We were talking about that. We did a video on his Grey Knight list last night, and he is all about the Inceptors. So he's already 12-0 with it. He hasn't lost with that list yet. And he gained 10 points. So we'll see how that goes. Agents, Caluxus went down 15. Nobody really takes the Caluxus much that I see.
Right.
You normally see the Calidus. I mean,
Yep.
really, that's the only one you ever see. You don't even really see the Vindicator anymore. Vindicare, which used to be one of the coolest ones back in the day. Same thing for her as an ally, or him, whatever the Caluxus is.
Exactly. The whatever it is.
Knights, Valiant Castellan went down. Canis Rex remained untouched, luckily, which I was happy about because I've been running him with my Wolves. Which is surprising because Knights have been winning here recently since Eldar come out, so I thought they might get touched, but they didn't.
Yeah. Interesting.
Votan untouched, points-wise. Necrons, just the Doomsday Arc went up 10, so that's fine with me. Those things are annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flat 4 damage is not something Space Wolf players like to see.
I really
Not
am
at all.
glad they went up. That and Riptides.
Yeah.
Any flat 4 damage.
Yeah, Tank Bustas and Big Mac went up with Shock Attack Gun went up.
Good. Yeah.
Nothing else, but they got a new detachment, so they're probably actually in a better place at the end of the day. Tactical Red lost 10 points there, but they already neutered that detachment, so that doesn't really matter. Company Heroes and Ballistus Dreadnought went up. Ballistus sucks for me. Blade Guard went down, so that's nice. I do like Blade Guard in a lot of Wolf lists, running one unit with either like a Judicar or Ragnar, or sometimes even the Chaplain for +1 to wound. I've always liked the Blade Guard model, so I always try to find a way to stick them in a lot of lists.
Yeah. Yeah. Very solid.
Marnius went up 10. Devastators went down 20 and 40 for Centurions.
I like how GW is whenever there's a nerf to an archetype and they focus on one unit, that unit usually goes down. So the archetype of Vanguard with Uriel Ventress, who could give the Centurions Deep Strike and they can up be downy every turn, they no longer get Deep Strike. They were pointed appropriately to be balanced in that archetype with Deep Strike. So now they took away the Deep Strike, they kind of readjusted them, which is really nice.
Yes.
I like the GW's doing that.
Yeah, and then Predators went up, Vindicators, Whirlwinds. Fire Discipline got 15 points cheaper.
It needed to. It was pretty ass
Yeah,
before.
Yeah,
and
wow.
and then Conclave Fusillade went up 20. I haven't seen anybody running Conclave, so I'm wondering why that got touched. But
I think
Well,
that one
just
gives you anti-monster, anti-vehicle 5-up. Stern Guard Vets is just auto kill.
yeah,
uh,
instantly delete anything.
yeah, but you
Yeah.
got to take Librarius.
Yeah.
Still, though,
Yeah,
GW doesn't usually like when units put out like 40 mortal wounds in a single turn.
true.
So,
On average.
Yeah,
yeah, geez, oh my gosh.
yeah. So Vindicators, Annihilators, or Predators, Ballistus, Marnius. That's just probably some of the stuff a lot of the Ultramarine lists were spamming.
Yeah. So
But
let's
no
pause for
touches
a
to
minute.
Gilman.
I have to say, this is where we should pause. This is the Marines.
Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is it's probably pretty deserved. Vindicators, Predators, those were pretty spammed a lot. Ballistic Dreadnoughts were being spammed a lot. They're pretty
Yep.
cheap before. Blade Guard, they could use opponents to create. They're just pretty meh at 90 points. Yeah, my list only went up 20 points. My current list. If I go back to my old list, it's actually evens because I was running a 3-man Centurion Devastator squad, and that went down 20 points, and Calgary went up 20 points. So I might go back to that. That would be a pretty easy switch.
Okay.
But as far as like the Marine changes, they're in a good spot. I think like vanilla Marines, Ultramarines are.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And Matt, I'm curious what you think these specific Space Marine changes mean for Wolves.
Now for Wolves, well, the main thing is that like you have to look about like what's changing in the rest of the meta. So basically, Bridgehead is going down. There's new demons attachments. These changes don't affect wolves too much, but like they hurt you in your shooting department, but
Yep.
they don't necessarily help you in your melee that much. But it's like, do these changes affect? Are they enough of a nerf on the other big Buki man attachments that it helps you out?
Yes. Yeah, because
Right.
the Ballistus went up 10, Vindicator, Lancer stayed the same. Those are the three that we normally talked about running in Wolves. So you maybe lose an enhancement or something, or downgrade something to a scout, something weird. So not like a huge hit there. I think the Phobos Lieutenant change hurts Wolves, especially
Yeah.
Champion to Russ, more than any of the point changes, honestly.
Yes, that's probably a very big change for you all.
Yep.
Now, one thing I was talking to Aiden about earlier is that like Sterngard vets are actually a very dangerous data sheet.
Yes.
That like I would recommend taking in like almost any Space Marine attachment.
And they didn't get touched. And so talk to us about Sterngard veterans. Why do
So
you like
Sterngard veterans, they are just a nasty data sheet. So basically, like, they've got dev wounds on all their guns, and they've got you basically get one for every five you get a heavy vulture, which is sustain hits, AP1, 2 damage, dev wounds. So it's just like they're 2 shots each, 24-inch range, and then like the rapid fire 1 on their base gun with dev wounds. So it's just like at 12 inches, you're getting 24 strength 4 AP1 1 damage dev wound shots, and you're getting 6 strength 5 AP1 2 damage dev wound shots. And they're all dev wounds, and they get full rules of hit and wound against the oath target.
wow.
They have 4 attacks each, so 4 power fist attacks on the sergeant, 4 regular attacks on all the other guys, and they're only 100 points, which is only 20 points more than an intercessor squad.
Yep. And the heavy bolters have sustained hits.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this was a tech that I saw on your list and I was very curious about. And the more and more you started to talk to me about it, and you're like, I've even considered it in Champions of Russ. And I was like,
Yep.
whoa, this unit actually kind of slaps. This is more, I'm telling you, Mark is a really great list builder at finding ways to turn the damage up to 11 that you would never expect.
Yeah. Well, I was to mention this like a month ago. Like I played the Blood Angel guy that was running them, and he killed most of a wolf squad with them, just with the mortals going off.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked him. Like I don't have the points for my current list because I'm running Canis, but if I ever drop Canis, that would definitely be something, because I just actually traded to get 10 Stern Guard. So that is definitely something I'm looking at putting in some future lists.
Yeah, well, what character do you like to put with them, Mark?
Personally, I like to run a librarian with him. He combos really well with them because he has dev wounds on his shooting, and he gives them a 4 save. So if he pops off, he gets to like D6 shots, just random. But like if he gets like 6 shots and gets like, oh, here's all of a sudden he's wounded on 5s because it's supposed to wound, and then he gets like, well, he's only wounded on 5s if you're like T12. Everything else is wounded on like 4s.
Yep.
But like went on 4, 5, and 6, but every 6 is D3 death wounds. He can do a lot of damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And does he give them an invul, or is that a different
Yeah,
librarian?
he gives them a 4 pinball save and a 4
Yeah.
field thing against psychic.
And
Yep.
here's something that I've noticed about Wolf lists, both Stormlance and Champions of Rust, is that there are some builds where you really push the number of invuln wounds that you have in a list, like Wolfguard, Blade Guard, Wolfen, Thunderwolf
Yep.
Cavalry, and then you just kind of keep going down Vanguard vets with shields. And there's some lists that kind of overwhelm the opponent with number of invuln saves that do a lot of
Yep.
melee damage.
Well, you're
But
basically
here's
custodes at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And here is another invuln save unit that actually pairs really well with Wolves, both in Stormlance and in Champions.
Yeah, the only other thing in Champion is you also could stick the Black Death Captain with him for the full rerolls to wound into the Oath target to help trigger that. You give up the invul on the unit, but it really, really helps get the Black Death Captain popped up.
Really
you just throw him with a 5-man squad.
Yeah, you can just stick him with a 5-man squad, and they also have the free CP as well, which could be useful in certain situations.
Yeah, and the only problem with the 10-man is that you would really like a transport for them.
Yes.
Mark, I know your preferred transport of choice is the Redeemer.
Yeah. I think if you're not running transports, I think you take them in 5-man squads, and you can reserve them. You can do a lot of different things with them.
Yeah.
But 2 5-man stringer vets, that's a nasty platform.
Yeah, I played around with that in the list. I had 2 Stern 5-mans, and both of them had an impulsor. And it worked pretty good.
Cool. So also I wanted to ask what are your thoughts on the changes for Death Watch are. It seems like it's only plus 10 points on the Terminators, and that's it.
Well, it's plus 10 on the 5, minus 10 on the 20.
The 5 and 10, yeah.
10, yeah. Yeah, my brain.
Yeah, but
20 Terminators.
It's pretty deserved. I mean, they're very efficient at 190. But Death Watch are in such a funny situation where their points costs are so weird. My list function, all the points fit in perfectly for my LVO list. Now if I'm running it, I lose 20 points. That's like losing Thief of Secrets on the Judicar. And at that point, I don't even run the Judicar.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it's like the whole squads are pointed so weirdly, and they're huge squads. So you lose 20 points, that could end up downgrading or losing a whole squad.
Exactly. It's really weird. It's just the way it is. I wish you could take them in maybe smaller squads, or maybe you could take more squad sources to choose from. But at the moment, Death Watch is just in a really weird spot. They're still a decent army, but I wouldn't be able to. I don't think I'd be able to replicate what I did at LVO with them currently.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, that was just an aside.
Yep. And then Space Wolves had no actual point drop touches to their index. Yeah. So it's just the regular Marine stuff that they run that is where they got hit.
Kind of expected. I mean, the Space Wolves were in an okay spot win rate wise. And they're still doing okay.
Yeah, I think they're still solid. I'm going to see this weekend how much losing that Phobos unit and trying to turn on Saga Majesty actually affects how well I feel the list plays. It's just like losing one little trick, but the rest of what the list does is still intact. So I'm interested to see how that works out for me.
How many points was that package?
It was 80 for the Reavers and 55 for him, so it was 135.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it was real cheap.
But then if you drop that, how many points do you have left over with the changes to the ballistas?
I had 115 left.
So you lose 20 points.
Yeah.
You lose 115.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a drop.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing was taking that 115, took 25 points and put the Black Death on my Wolfguard battle leader on Thunderwolf that runs with Herald Squad. So on their charge turns, he's got 7 attacks that can spike for dev wounds. And then that left me 90 points. So I ended up taking a squad of assault JPIs.
Okay.
Because my brain was telling me, I'll just have them trigger it. And then I was like, well, they don't have a character. So I'm like, should I drop my second squad of Reavers or my Outriders to try to give them a character to have them try to do it? Or just not worry about doing it and just have them just go maybe even still take the opponent's backfield objective, which is still useful, just not give +1 OC to the army.
You probably don't have to worry too much about that because, like, if you're
Yeah,
playing against a smart opponent, they're probably just going to screen you out anyways, or like it won't even matter, or it'll get to the point where it's just like you'll either win in the mid board or lose the mid board.
yeah. Well, they could potentially also advance and charge, then shoot and move, and then charge in Champions of Russo. Then potentially going 30 inches to steal that objective. So I found
Yeah.
if I rapid ingress, most of the time in a lot of games they could find a hole unless there was something back there they didn't want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's gone now. But Second Majesty, I don't think is 100% needed for the list to function.
No,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
So we'll see. Because I was really enjoying the way the list played and felt. So I'll see if I notice it much this weekend. Tau Rampagers went down. Lone Spheres went down. Was pretty much it.
They got a new detachment too, right? Plus 6 range roller guns.
Oh yeah. So and Thousand Suns, Vortex went up. Cult went down. Cultist went down. All the Predators in every detachment looks like went up. Vindicators went up. Sorcerer and Terminator armor went down. 10-man or 6-man Zangor and Light went down. 20 Zangors went down. Tyranids, Trigon Lictor down. Tyrannifex Execrant up. Hive Tyrant down. See any of that being major. World Eaters, not Predators went up, which happened everywhere.
Yep.
But Demon Princes and Juggernaut went down. That really helps the new detachment that works with Demon Princes. And that's it. So other than like Eldar and Guard, I don't think a lot really changed points wise.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, this was a pretty light touch on the game, except for a few offenders like Bridgehead and Slanesh.
But I don't feel like the game was in a bad. I don't think anybody was like winning every event, so I don't think anything needed a super hard touch.
Yeah. I mean, there were also a couple of detachments coming out. One of them, the Orc one, is everyone's talking about it. It looks ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how that does. I know our event's running this weekend. I know most events probably won't allow it till next weekend, so I think we'll really see next weekend how these new detachments go off. I was surprised they decided to allow it at a GT with only a couple days' notice.
Yes, because like you have to think about like this. Some people they can't necessarily change their list on a dime unless you maybe remove like painting requirements. And even then, it's just like, well, if you just don't have the models yet.
Because I know. Originally they weren't going to do it, and then I'm not sure why they changed it, but they decided to run it. So list submission got pushed to Friday night for the start of the GT on Saturday.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mark, it sounds like your list is not changing. You've kind of run a skew list with Ultramarines. It's still very strong. You might switch back to your old build where you're a little more comfortable. Keep the same points pretty much. And for Wolves, it just one minor nerf, the Phobos Lieutenant.
Yep.
But other than that, and a couple minor nerfs on the tanks if you were running those shooting.
But that shows that Mark was running a fairly balanced list and winning off player skill because he wasn't spamming any of the bad stuff, right?
It's just because GW doesn't know to nerf this stuff yet.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Now everybody's gonna start copying Mark's list, and then it's gonna get hit next time.
What can I do? I'm a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, someone just won the RTT I was at this last weekend with Death Watch.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Mark, I'm curious. I've been dying to ask you. If you had to build a wolf list, you can choose any detachment. What would you build? What would it contain?
I'll probably do Champions of Russ.
Boom! Eat it.
One of the things I really like is I really like to have easy access to 6 of field pain for entire army. I think that's like a really on Marines. That's a really critical point where it's just like all of a sudden just be like you're making saves you shouldn't make. Less guys are dying than they should. All of a sudden, the land bearers takes like 3 extra wounds to kill, and that can really add up.
Yeah.
And I found in certain matchups like Grey Knights, Thousand Stun, stuff like that, it also, if you pop that Saga, it also gives you the Feel No Pain against Psychic Immortals. And those armies just really have, if you only push out one big wolf squad, or if you have the Land Raider and you push it out to the middle with a 4-up Feel No Pain, and your armor can attempt against a big shot, like, it's going to be really hard for them to remove it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it sounds like you run a similar build. You really like the double Land Raider Redeemers, plus with some wolf tech, it sounds like.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily have to be Land Raiders, but like Land Raiders, they're so tough to kill.
Yep.
Really good tech.
Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking about going Land Raiders, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, Eldar are going to kill him so easy," but I think people were over.
They might kill them, but like they've got to focus them. They've got to dedicate a lot of firepower into it.
Yep.
They don't just lay over and die.
Yep. I'm liking my Canis Rux build right now, but I do love Land Raiders. But I don't think I can do both. That'd be way too many points running.
Yeah, you can't do both if you got Canis.
So
I
once I get bored with the Canis, I'll go back to the Land Raiders because I love the Redeemer.
They're so good. My problem is, and I talked to Mark about this, one Land Raider. If you have one single Land Raider list, you don't have a lot of other vehicles, people are going to point all of their anti-tank guns at that Land Raider. It will die so quick.
Yes.
But there is a critical mass. 2 Land Raiders is enough to the point where, wow, you can start to push through people really easily.
Especially with 160-point Blade Guard squads inside.
That's interesting. You know, Blade Guards are with the Champions of Rust, but they need melee buffs. So it's lethal sustained, lands plus 1 AP.
Yep.
I mean, it depends what you're trying to do with them. Yep. So basically, like, if you're just trying to like tie something up or like get a character in a position for the character to kill something, they don't necessarily need those buffs. You can get the buffs from the characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because once the characters proc their buffs, then you got them. Because the 6 of Feel No Pain is the hardest buff to proc reliably. So if you just pick that and then use your characters to hunt down other characters, hunt down vehicles or monsters and stuff like that, then I think you actually have a better chance of just like maintaining that 6 of Feel No Pain.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, the way I would build the list, I'd build a list around usually taking the 6 of Feel No Pain and then like having characters run around and proc the other buffs.
Yeah. Ragnar and Blade Guard are such a good piece, especially when you when you choose the 6 of Feel No Pain first, because Ragnar always lets his squad advance and charge. And so the Blade Guard got cheaper. He's a really good melee character. They're just a Blade of Wounds.
And he's got sustained built in on himself already.
Yeah. So that's kind of a very solid. It's interesting that you would go with the 6 up Feel No Pain buff, because almost everyone that I talk to who runs Champions always chooses the sustain because it allows advance and charge. But
and you could also put the lieutenant in there.
Yeah.
And now he's got lethal on the squad already.
Yeah.
I mean, advanced charge is nice, but you're spending the CP for it. Whereas, like in Gladius, I can just pick it, and also I've got a billion CP to work with too.
Oh,
whereas, in the Champions of Rust, I feel like it's better just like it's nice to have it, but it's better to just have more reliable, just like moving and charging like JPIs, other stuff like that. Get a 6 of Feel No Pain to survive more, and then like work around from there to eventually kill some characters.
And there's another nice thing about the Land Raiders is it's almost an advance in charge. You just move up the 12, because Redeemers move 12, right?
They move 12, Disembark 3.
Yep, so all the others move 10. So yeah, basically you go 15 inches and can still charge.
Yes.
Wow.
So you don't need advance in charge of what's there, and then Ragnar has it built in. So yes, you really don't have to start in Warriorborn as much in a list with the double Land Raider and Ragnar.
Yeah. So on the Stormlands front, things haven't really changed much. Still, wolves are still very solid. There seems to be a decent amount of shooting in this meta. With guard is still strong. I mean, British Hedge got nerfed, but the mechanized is still very strong. Yunari is still very good. Yunari doesn't love melee. There's also the new Orc detachment, which shoots out the fucking wazoo. So having a detachment that's very good into shooting is still very strong. The tanks in Stormlands, if you were taking shooting, a lot of that stuff went up 10 points each tank. You're still probably going to take it. You're still going to take some amount of shooting unless you go the all melee route, which I think is a very hard skew and it can get countered. And then funny, actually, I think the Stern Guard thing is actually kind of quite good in Stormlands. You do need a transport for it, but John Lennon's been piloting a Storm Raven in Stormlands. and kind of has been showing people that it's actually quite good.
Yep.
I think it's good enough to the point where I want to try it out, take it to a GT or two. With the Stern
Storm Raven with a bunch of Stern Guard in it, that'd be pretty dangerous.
Very dangerous. Move 20, disembark, shoot a bunch of stuff, throw a grenade, then charge and tank shock with the Storm Raven. Then you can react to move inside of it. You can get sustained on the guys. You can -1 to hit, wound, and damage on the Storm Raven for a CP. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting thing that I'm playing, or that Stormless has access to. It's funny, you'd think after almost 2 years you would find these combinations, but still things are popping up left and right.
Well, because they're slowly adjusting points and slight rule changes here and there, so sometimes stuff is worth it now that wasn't before.
Yeah.
Or there's something new in the meta you need to counter that the thing that the unit does wasn't necessarily as useful before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have the Storm Raven, but I got was it the Storm Wolf, the Space Wolf Transport one flyer?
It's even cooler.
Yeah.
It's even cooler. Yeah, but I think a lot of the top dogs got nerfed as well. So we didn't really get touched. A couple minor nerfs, a couple minor buffs. You know,
I think the Storm Raven will be really good into the Orc matchup against like Ludas and like tank, and not necessarily tank bosses, but against Ludas and like
flash kits.
Flash kits, because the -1 damage really helps.
-1 to wound and -1 damage, so they're wounding on 6s at 1 damage each. Yeah, I mean it's such an interesting thing. When I started Stormlance, I was trying to make one Storm Raven work, but I found that I didn't want to put anything inside. Like everything I put inside was just not doing.
Yeah, that's why. What are you even using it for? Is like,
yeah, I put a Brutalis, I put Bjorn, I put like Eradicators, I put you name it. I've tried it in a Storm Raven, and it just didn't really work for me.
Those Stern Guard will do it because they'll pop. Man. Like if you're going against Orcs, you just move it up, use the Stern Guard, pop the transport guaranteed, and then you use the Storm Raven to kill the stuff inside.
Exactly, and then or charge. You know, I had a guard game last night trying out the Storm Raven, and the Stern Guard were very impressive. They in 2 rounds of shooting, they oathed 1 Leman Rust, deleted it from 24 inches away, oathed another Leman Rust, deleted it from 24 inches away, and I was like, this is not something that I usually do. You know, and then
reliably.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, those Stern Guard with the Librarian, they will put out some damage.
Yes.
And I like I said, I like it because a lot of wolf lists have massive 4-up invulns, and you're just adding more 4-up invulns to the list. So I really do like that as a tech piece in wolves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the times that's how I decide. Like the Wolf Guard with the shield. It's another reason I like Blade Guard, the Thunder Wolves. I love just shamming 4-up invulns.
Wolfen, yeah.
Well, honestly, it's kind of a nerf to Wolfen Dreadnoughts, Fenrisian Wolves, and Murder Fang. Now that we can't trigger Saga of Majesty as easily as Champions of Russ.
Yeah. Slight nerf. We had our friend Jordan who went to a GT said he triggered it like 5 out of 6 rounds. And I was like, oh my God, is no one screening their backfield? Like, what the hell?
Well, a lot of people try to screen the wolf, so it's hard to screen your front and your back at the same time for a lot of people.
Yeah, very few armies.
Depending on what they're running.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
All right. So I think wolves are wolves, but Marines in general are in a pretty decent place.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you were running the weird non-codex Marine detachment, but trying to get the +1 to wound. I don't think you really got hit too hard. Some of the lists that were spamming, like the Ballistus and the Vindicator, might lose 1 unit. But compared to what some of the other armies that were doing a little better, I think Marines and Wolves are in a good place.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah. Wolves are still quite underrated. I mean, I was just listening to some major content creators. Fireside 40K made a podcast, a tier list after this data slate. And they rated Wolves last. And they said one sentence on them. They're like, I don't know. Yeah, they're okay. And then they just put them in like C tier. People just don't really pay attention.
They aren't that bad. They're not C tier.
No, they're not.
There's not a lot of good players who play Wolves. Most people that play Wolves are really, really fluffy players that have had them forever.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, in a way, like, well, they're not competitive players. They just bring what's fun. They're like, Well, that's
They're,
not
they're,
Wolfie.
they're the kind of players that will wear a wolf shirt while they play Space Wolves.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
But,
They'll have all matching Space Wolf objectives and the Space Wolf dice tray and Space Wolf dice. And
Space Wolves for life.
I got Space Wolf objective markers and Space Wolf 9-inch template. And
that is so funny. Matt, our whole audience is Space Wolf viewers. Don't insult them too much.
no, that's
I
what we're doing
mean,
with the channel. That's the whole point of this channel is to help them find the competitive stuff and for all of us to up our games.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, also Dave came on. He's going to start doing some Grey Knight stuff also for the channel. So we're expanding a little bit. So we're not just wolves. You and I will stay mainly wolves, but Dave's going to start putting out some Grey Knight content.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else you guys want to touch on about Marines in general, or what happened today, or anything coming up?
I think Marines and Orcs are going to be some of the top in the meta now.
Yep. Yeah, we got a couple new detachments for Orcs. Tau, I think. Some Demon. So we'll see how all that shakes out.
Yeah.
A lot of new detachments. I think the detachments are the biggest shakeup.
Yes.
Points didn't really matter too much, except for two or three top offenders.
Yep.
So we'll see what those new detachments do. I'm curious.
And we have a whole new army coming in, Emperor's Children. So we'll see where that shakes out in the meta.
Yeah,
I watched the battle report or two, and they seem okay.
they seem okay.
Like they were great. Didn't seem like they were horrible.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to make a major dent. Maybe there'll be a certain army they really hard counter or something, but haven't seen much to be super scared of them. Other than it's always tough when you start playing into stuff. I don't know what this does.
Yeah.
I think the problem with Emperor's Children is they'll have a tough time against vehicle lists.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. Wow. Well, Mark, we really appreciate you having you on, and you've got some really great insight, some really cool tech.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aiden.
Yeah, it's always nice to get the view of a Space Marine player who isn't specifically wolves on wolves.
Yeah.
All right. So anybody have any questions from the chat before we bail out of here? But all right. Well, any big events for you guys coming up?
I'm going to Battleland's Alzheimer's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to get a golden ticket. And Mark said to me this weekend at the event, he's like, well, good thing I've already got mine. That way I can't take away yours. I was like, oh my God.
Just dodge me. Yeah, just dodge me. I mean, I've already got one from LVO. So
don't worry about me.
I can get first place, and then the person behind me can get their golden ticket.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
That's always funny. Yeah, one of my favorite memories all time was stealing a Crucible ticket from John Lennon at a tournament.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
But that's back when John Lennon wasn't quite John Lennon yet. He was almost there. He was working his way up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing him since he was 12. So I used to beat the crap out of him, and now he just puts me in the dirt.
Yeah. He's doing hot now. And you've got a GT this weekend, right, Matt?
Yep, I got a GT this weekend, 5-round, Grand Onslaught 9 up in Hudson, Florida. So
they're doing the new stuff. They're big shakeup.
Yeah, that's what we're interested in, doing all this stuff. So I'm interested to see people who are bringing new detachments that have no test games, making sure they play their rules right.
Yeah.
That's the only biggest problem with people. Oh, I was doing that wrong to my benefit the whole weekend. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah.
But all right. Well, thank you, Aiden, once again. Mark, it was great having you. You're welcome back anytime. And everybody else, like, share, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Talk to you guys later.